Welcome to The Middle, a podcast about that messy middle in between job loss and the comeback, told by people who've lived it. From CEOs to veterans, athletes to analysts, we talk to folks navigating the unexpected turns in their careers and what comes next when the plan falls apart. These honest conversations will move you, make you think, and maybe even inspire you to leap into something new. Because behind every career pivot is someone just trying to figure it all out. You just finished a project, which is actually how you and I met, where you called someone every day in the month of July.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with that?
The unplanned phone call experiment in July. How did I come up with that? I felt like I wanted to deepen my relationships and have more one-on-one conversations and stuff like that. And in New York, it's kind of it's a little bit harder. So anyways, in end of 2024, I started calling my friends and tried to have one new phone call with my friends, and I didn't tell them, and I would just call them. And I know it's weird to say this, but in New York, people don't call their friends. It's you call maybe 2 or 3 friends, but the people in New York, you usually just see them. And
oh, okay.
Yeah. So you kind of invite them to hang out, etc. Except for your close friends. That feels that's more the general view. So anyways, I really liked it. It got me closer to these people that had said that they we wanted to get closer to each other and stuff like that. But it was hard to do because it was cold and I didn't tell people I was doing that. So anyways, then in July, I wanted to try a new monthly social experiment. And I kind of emailed some friends and I said hey, I'm also going to do this experiment. And then some people replied back and said yeah, call me. And I was wow, this is great. Now that I have people that have expressed interest, compared to the prior time I did it when I didn't tell anyone, and it kind of caught them off guard. And then, I don't know, I was in Washington, D.C. area, and I was let me just post on LinkedIn, and posted on LinkedIn about this idea, and somehow kind of struck a nerve, or it got, way more interest than expected. I don't know if maybe people thought it was a joke or something, but or the algorithm just decided to
the algorithm loved it.
Yeah, just decided to give me some street cred that day or what. I don't know. I don't know how it and so then it was so great. And then I had a list of people that expressed interest, and I think there's a lot of interesting things about kind of the power of the organic algorithm and social proof of different people commenting and you seeing that. And I don't know, I got really lucky, and thankfully people like you said that they wanted to chat with me, and that was so fun. I missed that month. There was I felt like I don't know, there was a spark inside of me of okay, now I'm about to I'm going from my apartment into the city. Who can I call right now? And I've got this 10-minute window. And I know when we chatted, I went for a walk and then it started pouring rain. And I was oh crap! But I'm still doing my call. I don't know. What did you think when you saw that LinkedIn post? And then what was going through your mind? Did you think I was crazy? And did you why were you interested in it?
I was going to say, I didn't think it was a joke. So I'm only one person, but you can feel assured that I didn't think you were punking me or anything.
Okay.
No, I think what attracted me to it was that even, we're several years out from the pandemic, but there's still this lack or just this decline in connection, and people want connection. And I think in some ways we've gotten better at virtually connecting and working through that and understanding how we do that. But there is still just that, whether it's face-to-face or on a phone call, just being able to talk to someone and say, and I think to your point, the stakes are low. This is not, hey, there was, with you, there was no prep call. There was no, I'm going to call you and we're going to talk about whatever comes up. We might talk for 3 minutes. We might talk for 30 minutes. It was just I get to talk to someone. I mean, I think you and I talked about business stuff, and then we talked about tornado chasing. And so the conversation just went where it went, and there was absolutely no pressure. It's a chance to get to know someone that I probably would have never crossed your path outside of LinkedIn or outside of some sort of virtual social network.
I think you kind of touched upon something that like I really observed through all those different phone calls was like because it was like low stakes and because of like the like randomness and I don't know, some people said like my vulnerability conversations went wherever they were like meant to go or where they could go. I mean, it's two people, you kind of like co-create the conversation, but I do think that like because of the format and because of this like hey, I'm doing this experiment, who wants to chat with me? And it did attract people that and generate conversations that I do think that were very soulful and human and real and raw. And I was not expecting that. And that was a really nice surprise for me of like, wow, like I can drop into these kind of conversations with people that I don't know, but like we can drop in a way that like I would with like my friends here in New York. And like that was really, really nice. And like, I don't know, maybe there's something about like there's no video so that you're not like judging yourself or you're not like coming up with a story about who they are or who you are or how they might like how they know you or like I don't know. I like I just kind of like pick numbers and I like kind of forget who was who and like I didn't even know who was who. I was just like, oh, let me call this number and then it'd be like and I'd be like sometimes like, oh, like how like what like why did you respond to this? And like, oh, like I'm a chief of staff and like or oh, I also host events and I've been, you know, kind of following your work and stuff or oh, I'm into social experiments and like oh, I like recently moved to a new city and I'm trying to like figure out ways to like meet new people and connect and I think someone called it like micro networking. Yeah. So I don't know. It was. I
Would
should.
you do it again?
I
I was like,
probably.
would you do it
Yeah.
again?
I probably should. I've been doing it in September, and I haven't been doing it very well, and because I'm in the middle of a transition right now.
We're gonna get into that.
Which I don't know. Do transitions ever end? As my friends were recently challenging me on this, but um, I'm definitely in the middle of something, or on I'm in a different phase than I was a couple of weeks ago. And anyways, and so in September, I have been trying to have one new coffee chat in person with someone based upon the success of the unplanned phone call. And it's got me more kind of like inspired again by what happened with the phone call once because of like how much easier it was. Um And although it's been great, I've like been able to see people and like connect in a different way in person. But I don't know, it got me like reminded me of the magic of July, and this is another like reminder of that.
I do want to chat about what you're doing right now because, and I'll kind of preface for our audience who hasn't looked you up. You spent 4 years at the Chief of Staff Network, and you were the community manager. So you managed a 900 plus community through that network. But you also have experience in just helping companies grow, helping companies scale. Is this what younger David wanted to do?
Well, we talked about storm chasing.
Yes, we did.
I had like a storm chasing era, had like a finance era. Um, I pursued the finance route, and then the finance route led me to like a real estate route, and the real estate route led me to real estate tech, and then that led me to a chief of staff role, and then that brought me to New York, and then other chiefs of staff roles, and then chief of staff community roles. But you know, candidly, I think like in this kind of transition right now, figuring out what to focus on is and like what to go after has been a challenge of mine. I think I've gotten more clear as to like what call it like the end goal looks like, or what kind of like a hook of the type of work that I'm trying to do. Yeah, I don't know if you ever felt this or if you feel this, where it's like could do a lot of things. And compared to like when, when I was growing up, it was like finance and,
Teacher. For me, it was like,
oh yeah,
let it go,
yeah,
go be a teacher. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And did you do that?
No, my mom is a teacher. I joked that I already helped her grade so many papers. I don't need to then spend 30, 40 more years grading more papers. But no, I think to your point, I think there's roles that we see as kids and maybe we're almost a little stereotypically pushed into. I remember being in high school and my dad, who I grew up in Michigan, I grew up in Lansing. And my dad, I call him the Ron Swanson of Lansing because he was the head of Parks and Rec. And he is also he is Ron Swanson without the mustache. I used to say, and he tried in high school to push me towards business because that's really what his background was in. And I remember thinking, Dad, I don't think women are in business. I don't think women do business. And when I left Microsoft in June and was like, oh, I had that same thing of like, there's a lot I could do. And sometimes that's really exciting. And sometimes that's really overwhelming.
Yeah, I think that I've been trying to like wait for the feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and like try to go after the scary thing or do the scary thing or, yeah, I mean, I know there's like this, Derek Sivers came up with this, which became a name of a book, but also was like a decision-making tool, which I think is like, he described that it's a little bit more for like when you're younger in your career, but the idea is around like hell yeah or no. But yeah, I feel like I'm kind of waiting a little bit more for the hell yeah. But yeah, I think there is something about that, like when you don't have a lot of income coming in, it definitely feels like hits you differently. I don't know how you feel about this topic after the June and what July and August and September have been like for you. And I guess you're doing a lot more like freelance stuff now.
Yeah, I am. And I mean, it's scary. It is scary to watch your bank number go down and not be replenished in some way or be replenished very little. It is so hard to take that pause because there is this immense pressure to, I call it, get back into the frying pan. It's this mentality of scarcity. You're not, you need to just take whatever you can get, or you need to push aside your desires and maybe what you really want to do. But inevitably, that just kind of leads to job hopping. It leads to dissatisfaction. It leads to bad fits. It leads to so much more that is negative and positive. So if I don't stop to figure out what excites me, I am just going to jump into something that I am miserable with. And yes, it may be replenishing my bank account, but I am going to be miserable in it potentially from day one.
So you're in this middle that you're in right now because you left the Chief of Staff network and your role there several weeks ago. What motivated you to make that change and to voluntarily enter this middle? Was it time for something new? Was there a voice in your head?
I feel like, yeah, that I wanted to grow. I feel like I'd done a lot of things that I wanted to do. I mean, the world had changed a lot from 2021 to 2025 when I started that role to the end. I like being a more community builder, community catalyst, and it felt like it was a little bit more of a community manager type of moment. Just, similar to like leaders versus managers and builders versus operators. And yeah, I mean, like, I'm really grateful for that. Like, I really learned a lot. I grew a lot. I met so many incredible people. And, pre-pandemic, I didn't really see roles like that. I had worked in kind of the community space and more like projects. And this was like an incredible full-time thing. And I think it was like an incredible role for the time and for the moment. And I don't know, I just think like it's hard to say particularly what it was, but it was maybe a little bit of a combination of factors. And, there's never like the right time or the best time. It just was like, you know what, we'll see where this goes. And then also at the end of the day, it's like I wanted to really stay kind of true to the community. And I knew the community, here's the other thing, is like I knew that the community was in a good spot. I knew the business was in a good spot. And so like I wasn't leaving or didn't leave or transition at a time where like it would have fallen apart, and like so that was the other thing that like I think there was maybe 2 years ago or so or something like that. I feel like if I would have left then it would have been a lot more, it could have been a lot more disruptive. And so I feel like I have been feeling a lot more like energized and like, but also had plenty of lows of like, wait, did I really leave something? That like been seeing the comments from people and they're like, incredible role, perfect fit, and you're like, wait, I left something that was a perfect fit. Why would I leave that? So it, again, like that's some of that's like in the past, so to speak. And I think it's about kind of what you were talking about. The tagline for this show, I really like. I don't want to, I might say it wrong, but just the like who you were versus who you're becoming. And I feel like there was something else that I was feeling about who I was going to become, and I think it's worth exploring. And also, like going back to unplanned phone calls, I did have an unplanned phone call with someone who she had said like, hey, I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to become. And that kind of lingered with me a little bit too, of like, yeah, who am I becoming? Like, and I didn't quite know. And I thought it was worth exploring that. Remind me again, like what are the kind of services that you're offering these days?
I think we had chatted about this. You were the one that kind of put the seed in my head during our conversation. I do a narrative and branding for startup founders and new leaders. So folks that are heads down, they have to focus on building, they have to focus on raising capital, they have to focus on all these other things, and they don't have time to focus on how do I message myself? How am I messaging the product or the service that I'm offering?
Yeah.
But there's this pressure when you go out there, especially as a startup founder, you have to look and feel and sound like a seasoned leader. And there's a lot of pressure to do that. And so I come in and I help you build your narrative. We work on your story. We work on what are the messages, and then it's kind of scaled up. If you want just that, you can have that. We work for about a month to do that. If you want more, we can come up with a 90-day roadmap. So in addition to your story, we'll also find the opportunities to get you and start getting you out there. I do fractional support, and then I do one-offs, occasional one-off. If you, hey, I just had this one speech coming up and I just don't have time to prepare. I don't have time to write the speech, or I have, we have a launch coming up. I need some social media posts drafted and some, something that will get attention, very one-off, one moment in time specific. I offer that, but I don't want to say that's less and less, because that actually is, a lot of people have that, but I always push people, like, if you have one launch, you have another launch. If you have one social media post you're going to need another. So you might as well sound cohesive and clear on across all of it than bringing someone in for one moment in time and then going back to something that may not stand out or may not sound the same as you did 3 weeks ago. What has it felt for you to be in between, to leave something that you said was, stable and folks and we're kind of saying, hey, like, it's the perfect fit.
Yeah.
Without that clear next step.
Like, I think when people initially said, like, what's next, I think I like tightened up a little bit of like, oh, do I have, like, sorry, like, I don't, like, how do I say I don't know? Or like, I'm figuring it out. And I think initially there was like a kind of like a.
Was it scary? Like, was it scary? Was it embarrassing to say that? Or was it just, did it reiterate in your brain, like, crap, I don't know?
I think it was embarrassing initially, or like I thought it could be embarrassing. Because I think there's like cultural norms that, like, usually when people leave, they have something figured out. I don't think there's as many cultural norms to like, I'm figuring it out, I don't know. Initially, I wasn't as comfortable saying that. Then I got more comfortable, like many things. Like the first time you say something, you're not comfortable. Then you say it a couple more times. I got more comfortable doing it. And then I would see people would say like, oh, cool. Like, I think that's a good idea. Like, if you could do that, I think that's a good idea. I wish more people would do that. So it was interesting of like, seeing conversations flip from like, I'm like, okay, are they judging me? Are they like, to then being like, oh no, they think that's the right plan, or that's a good idea, or like that's okay. I think I've gotten better also at like articulating where I'm trying to go, and that took a little bit of time. I didn't sorry for not asking you for your positioning and your messaging help, but I don't know if I can afford you.
Give me the friends and family discount.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I think about where I'm at now versus where I was 2 months ago or a month ago, is like I didn't have my positioning statement or like where I was trying to go. And only in the last couple of weeks have I gotten that figured out. So I kind of needed some time. The other thing that's interesting though is like I feel a lot more emotionally ready to move through this than I have in prior transitions. Also, I've been had a podcast on the side and have hosted some events on the side. So like I also feel a lot more comfortable and confident in this transition than I have in the past. But also that goes back to the thing we were talking about before. It's like because I've built up a portfolio career, I do also have like more options than I've had in the past. So, but yeah, I'm super grateful for all the people that have like expressed like wanting to support and stuff like that. And continuing to like try to get more clear onto like exactly what I want to do. So basically, I want to do the same thing that I did before. I want to work with the founder to build a business and a community through events and content. Take something that might be just getting started to like full-fledged. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping to do. But plans and visions versus Robert is different. How would you say is like how things have gone in terms of like what you were expecting or hoping versus like where you're at now?
I had several weeks where I had two main thoughts. The first one being, I'm not good at anything. Like, really questioning my entire career. And so it was this huge internal crisis for me of what do I want to be? Do I even want to do? I came from a communications and public relations and background. Is that still what interests me? I really did think for those first few weeks, like, I'm never doing comms again. I'm done. I'm burned out. I don't want to do this. And after a few weeks, when I started to realize, all right, I like comms. I like this work. I was just getting into roles where 80% of my work was that just power through, just get through, and 20% was stuff that I actually enjoyed doing.
Wow.
So I think I've been surprised at how quickly I came to realize what I actually was I wanted to go do and what would make me happy and what would make me really like my work again.
That's amazing.
And I wanted to ask you, having not only just having ran a community, but you clearly have a strong community just in your life in New York City. Do you think, especially after the pandemic, we've kind of lost the power of community? Especially when we go through transitions?
I hosted a call for people that were also going through transitions a couple of weeks ago. I think when you find other people that are going through the similar type thing, like magic happens. So like on that transitions call, which was also virtual, it was like, okay, like you're trying to do this. Okay. Here's this person, like blah, blah, blah. Like, let me know. I think it's about finding what's like relevant to the time. I don't know if it's really like, did we lose it during the pandemic? I think it's like, I hosted a call on Friday and that was like a portfolio career speed networking, and like over 80% of the people showed up to a Zoom call. That was the first time that I'd done this, and like 80%, I would say I've done other virtual events and usually there were like 30% kind of attendance, and this was 80%. So people were showing up like that. It's like, and then like most of the people had their videos on, and like yeah, I know, right? So like that showed me that it's about kind of finding the right kind of connection vehicle and community vehicle. I have had to like evolve these types of things to find the like-minded people for the like type of moment and the conversations that I need. And thankfully, I've been able to find it. But it takes a lot of like trusting your intuition and like trying to host the thing that you want to host. And like, I don't know, I think we build resilience through these kind of like 0 to 1 experiences. And I think that happens in podcasting, that happens with like any types of events. And I'm grateful to like been developing that muscle. But I don't think it goes away. And I don't think that the fear goes away as to like, is anyone going to say yes?
When you think about what's next? Because people are asking you that. Are you focused on what's next or who's next that I can connect with?
I also was really encouraged by that July experiment. And it's like, could that be next? Could
Yeah.
could finding some projects that do feel aligned and finding some clients that do feel aligned, while the next is like creating space to do more like quirky experiments that might be more impactful. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I do think right now I'm like kind of focused a little bit more on like fixing the leaks, I guess, or like the runway and kind of, but also like if there was a role that like was full time and was paying X amount of money, like I definitely would jump into that. And if that had to like force me to like, slow down some of my other personal projects, totally cool. Like if it's the right, I think it goes back to like a feeling, like, can I contribute? Can I learn? Can I grow? And I think that's the other thing with the coffee chats right now. It's like my brain space is trying to figure out like clients and jobs and stuff that I'm like compared to in the chief of staff network. I feel like it was a busy role, but it also was like I'd done it for 4 years. So like I had figured out a lot of the stuff to do. So like I could take on another like side experiment. While like right now, like it's harder to take on side experiments because I'm trying to figure out like what the main what
What to do?
yeah,
Yeah.
how to pay the bills. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you had any like rituals or habits that you've been sticking to in this middle?
A newer one that I've been doing in the last 2 weeks. I've been texting a friend. We text like, here's what I'm doing today, and then here's the end of day recap. So that's nice to get just a little bit of like articulating like what the big focus is, and then kind of reflecting and not too much. It feels kind of low lift, but that's been a nice ritual that like someone's listening, someone cares, and also to like able to share like the minutia of the day.
I thought you were gonna say like you started training for a marathon or something.
No, man. No, not yet. I would like I've had like a leg injury over the last couple months. So I'm getting
Ooh.
closer to that.
What would you say to listeners that are in their own middle, whether that's a job or a relationship or a friendship, or they just moved to a new city, based on your experience? Is there anything you would tell them?
Get your footing, and from there, then you can kind of like build from it. But I think obviously find the like-minded people, etc. I think probably people have said that on your show before, but I think like getting your footing and like your like just the small stuff that like makes you feel like you're grounded and rooted and able to like build a base from. That's what I think like texting with this friend has done for me.
My last question is, what if you got approached on the street and said, "Hey, I listened to this podcast of you 5 years ago, and you were talking about, but you were in it, you were in the thick of it. What do you hope you would say to them about what you learned from this middle or what you took with you?"
Hard to answer that. I what's coming up for me is like there's been moments of other transitions or hard conversations or things that felt kind of scary or difficult, and I feel like I've looked at them in like a more positive light. So maybe like the harder conversation or the harder part of it was the one that was like in my head. And like, yeah, I've had some different like hard conversations this year, and I think like they can go better than expected. And similarly, like, who knows? I mean, who knows what'll happen for me over the next 5 years, but like maybe I'll look back on this and say like, no brainer, like I was obvious, or like you should have done this before, or like that was a blip, and like look at where you're at now, or how you're feeling now, or what's on your mind now. These transition moments feel really big and heavy in the moment, and then kind of down the road we're like, oh yeah, I forget how those like couple of weeks or months were like, oh yeah, like everything's now in this relationship, I now got this job, I now got this business, I now got this new routine, I got this new activity. And it's like, I don't know, you kind of, the details that feel so heavy in the moment right now can get washed away by like all this other stuff.
I think that's spot on.
Okay, good.
I mean, No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like the details that feel so big
Yeah.
when you're going through these things, that once you're through them, and that doesn't mean getting through it makes it easier, but
Sure.
you can look back and say, oh yeah, that really wasn't a big deal. It wasn't as big as I thought it was. Or,
Yeah.
I know there's that advice that a lot of people get of like, if it doesn't matter in a year, it doesn't matter in 5 years, whatever timestamp some people throw in there, then it shouldn't matter now. I don't always believe in that because I think that invalidates what you're feeling right now, that it might be hard or scary or heavy. It is okay to stress over whatever you're stressing about right now, but it's also okay to look back on it in a year and be like, you dum-dum, why did you think that was so a big deal? So
I'm glad that we'll be able to look back at this podcast conversation, though.
we will.
That's the other thing that's cool. It's like, and I really like respect and honor the work you're doing, because these liminal spaces and, these transitory periods oftentimes don't really, like, in the moment, you don't really get to like talk about it in real time. And yeah, I'm hopeful it'll be like that. I'm talking about it in real time, and I'm going to look back on this and be like, what were you talking about? That's not the narrative now, or like, but yeah.
Thank you. It's like I said, it's why I wanted to start it. I said in some of the early promos that we had, you would see a glossy LinkedIn photo of a post of I've left, and you'd see a glossy LinkedIn post whenever down the road of I have a new, and I was like, but something happened in the middle there, and I'm betting it wasn't pretty, and I am betting a lot of people would actually learn from some people sharing what that was like, because they're going through it too. I have some lightning round questions for you, friend. So are you ready? All right. Road trip or flying?
Road trip.
What emoji do you use the most?
Probably rocket.
What is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Keep going.
What is the best Halloween costume you've ever worn?
I don't know. What comes to mind is many years ago, I was Ace Ventura.
What is a smell that instantly makes you nostalgic?
I mean, I like the smell of coffee.
What is for dinner tonight?
I've been thinking about that. I'm probably going to go to Dig, which is kind of like a fast casual place that you can get like a Thanksgiving like meal. So like sweet potatoes and Brussels sprouts and chicken and carrots, super close to my apartment. And yeah, that's been part of like the regular routine these days.
That sounds amazing. Way better than my dinner tonight.
What are you going to have?
I don't know. I know what I shopped for, but let's just say what I shop for and what I eat doesn't always line up. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
What is the first concert you ever went to?
I'm thinking like Dave Matthews Band.
Ooh, good one. What is your most prized possession?
I don't know. What's like coming to mind is I like funky pants.
That was going to be my last question, which you scooped for me a little. Where do you get your pants, David?
First pair I got in Oslo, Norway at a conference, and they were made by one of the speakers, name's Casey Fenton, and he made them on the spot for me. And then since then I've got a couple more pairs from him, and then otherwise I've like found them online in different places, and sometimes I walk by a store and I'll see one and I'll be like, you know what, those are kind of like me. Yeah. But the first pair from Casey, 2018, Oslo, Norway. Never know what happens when you go to an event.
Well, David, where can folks find you?
I think the best place is on my website, davidnebinski.com. There you can see my Substack newsletter that I send out every week, every 2 weeks, if not more. And yeah, I'm posting on LinkedIn sometimes about unplanned phone calls. And yeah, but this was so great, Megan. Where can people learn more about you?
Oh, no one's asked me that yet. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find the Middle Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We just started our LinkedIn page like a week ago. So if folks go to LinkedIn and see the podcast page, it looks a little bare. That's why. But that is where you can officially find me. Well, thank you for coming on. This was so much fun, and I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
I appreciate you chatting. I know you are in the middle, so it's not always easy to, as you said, sit down and really think about what you're going through and what you're feeling. But I think there are so many people out there that are in your same shoes, and hearing what you're experiencing is going to be a bit of a balm for them. So thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Megan.
Thanks for listening to The Middle. If today's story resonated with you, drop a subscribe, share the episode, and let's keep these conversations going. Until next time, remember, your story isn't over. You're just in the middle.